Detroit Lions are coming off a bye after a dominant victory on Monday Night Football against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now they get to host the Minnesota Vikings, who had a tough Thursday Night Football loss here in Week 8. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan. We're going to break down this Week 9 matchup and provide our predictions at the end. Be sure to stay tuned, leave a comment, and also hit that subscribe button to get notified when new videos come out. And Ryan, I think it's safe to say now the Detroit Lions team hasn't really missed too much from losing their two-star coordinators, Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, to head coaching jobs. I think they've been doing a great job just in general. I think Dan Campbell's got this team going here as well. I thought that there would be some sort of letdown and maybe a little bit, but I think they still have that same kind of like offensive moxie and also defensive moxie as well too that they had last year. And I think it stems from Dan Campbell's personality in general. Also, to their new OC, John Morton. Yep, John Morton. I think he's done a good job coming over from Denver. I think a big thing too as well, Kelvin Shepard. He was in that Lions defensive system as well. And we talked about how it'll be good to have that continuity there. And I think he's done a great job, especially too after a dominant performance on Monday Night Football against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a banged up secondary. None of their starters, they were either hurt or suspended. Shout out Brian Branch. And who's going to be back for this game. And I think some of them are still going to be out. Terry Arnold's still dealing with some injuries. Kirby Joseph still dealing with some injuries as well. So we'll need to wait on that. But in general, though, as long as this front seven led by Aiden Hutchinson keeps on like playing the way they're playing, Carson Wentz is just going to keep being a sad individual, and I feel bad for him because he took an absolute
I
beating
think
on Thursday
JJ's
Night Football.
he might be coming back for this one.
JJ might not want to come back behind this offensive line. He's like, guys, I'm still hurt. Like, please don't do this to me. But it's because it was tough to watch just in general. I mean, like there was only so much he could do, but it felt like he was just like JJ can't play, so you had to come out there, and then neither could this offensive line. So
Yeah.
still hope for Minnesota as well here too. And if I look at the standings, and before I throw it over to you here, Ryan, Minnesota's 3-4, Detroit's 5-2, so 2 games back, so big game overall here. We're recording this right now during the Green Bay Packers game, who is currently down 16-7, but in the red zone on Sunday Night Football in the third quarter. So, Ryan, I want to throw it over to you. What are your thoughts on the Lions? Kind of like their season so far, especially after losing those coordinators, but then also Minnesota as well. What do you think some of the things they need to adjust to stay, they keep their playoffs hope alive?
Yeah. I mean, let's start with Detroit. I think with Detroit, that offense, I think in week 1, they definitely lost a step or two. But I think after that, they kind of got back into the rhythm of things, and this talent really has just kind of won out. Not that they've lost schematically or anything, but you just look at the amount of talent on this offensive side of the ball. This offensive line is still dominant. Amon-Ra St. Brown is very good. Jameson Williams is very good. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Talk about your Falcons with a great running back tandem. That's another great running back tandem as well. This offense is really good. Defensively, that front seven is playing well. That secondary is struggling as a whole, just because the injuries and suspension.
Shout out Brian Branch.
Yeah, that has to hurt somewhat, but they're still a top 10 defense in terms of total yards allowed. They're 16th in passing, 4th in rushing, so kind of backs up what I said there. But yeah, this team still plays with that attitude that they had last year. And I think when push comes to shove, I still think this is probably the best team in the NFC, or if not one of, that should be in the Super Bowl picture here going forward. So
I would say as of now, they're the most
as of now,
trusted team I would trust the most if they were to play right now. Definitely more than the Bears and probably more than the Packers, even though I know they played in week 1.
Yeah. So for me, I like this team a lot. But let's go to Minnesota. This team, I don't know what has happened offensively. Obviously, the loss of Sam Darnold, but Christian Darrisaw, his knee injury is kind of flaring up, and he actually missed the last game as well, just with some inflammation from his knee that was really painful. Like they were saying, it was a re-aggravation of his knee injury, but he tore his ACL. So I don't think that it's like you can't aggravate your torn ACL, or like you can't re-tear your ACL and then not be out for the rest of the season. So like I'm assuming it was just some swelling or whatnot. And so I think hopefully this offensive line can be better, but all in all, this offense just seems to really be struggling without an efficient drop back passer back there. And Sam Darnold, I think I don't want to say people took him for granted, but they had JJ McCarthy there. They just taken with the 10th overall pick, and I think they kind of felt like they had to move on from Sam Darnold and not re-sign him. So that's a tough situation. Running wise, Aaron Jones has been hurt, so they should get him back. But defensively, I'm most disappointed in Brian Flores. I think you look, they've given up in 7 games, 200-yard rushing performances, one last week, and then one to your Atlanta Falcons. Other than that, they've had 2 performances with 53 and 45. But you go look at the others, it's 119, 131, 140. And that's just a lot of yards on the ground. And this team has been getting dominated. They've given up 300 yards or more in all of their performances, except for one against Cincinnati without Joe Burrow and with Jake Browning in there. And so you have to imagine that if even Joe Flacco is there, that's a much different offensive performance there for the Bengals. So this defense has not really held up their end of the bargain going throughout this course of the year. So that for me is like, I think Minnesota, they're just trying to figure things out. Maybe this is I don't want to say a rebuilding year because they're not rebuilding, but they're just trying to figure things out right now, figure out what works for this team.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, and I know Ryan Kelly, their center from Indianapolis. He's on IR, and I know Will
Yeah.
Fries. He's been battling some injuries as well too. So, like that's the thing. Like this offensive line has been battling some injuries, and that was something that they didn't really have last year. But I remember thinking though and saying like, oh well, these are upgrades though from what they had last year, and so that's where I think the offensive line performance. I don't know how big of a difference Sam Darnold would make and like he's more veteran.
Yeah.
I would give him that. But if this offensive line's struggling, then that's just going to be tough in general. I think for many of these quarterbacks to do it. But I think to your point too, like that's the thing coming into this matchup here that last year I felt like I would have been talking about not only then my Minnesota defense versus this Lions defense who I was aggressive, but also like very opportunistic. I felt the same way too about this Brian Flores Vikings defense and going into this matchup. I just don't feel that like how I had the past couple of years. Felt like they haven't been as aggressive. Felt like they haven't been. They've been more exploitable. And
Yeah.
when you look at this Lions offense, one like they're a run first team, uh, and that's what's going to open things up for Jared Goff in this passing game. But I think as you said too, I mean they're averaging they're 24th overall in rushing yards allowed, averaging 130 rushing yards per game. If you look at this Detroit running offense as of right now, they're 7th right now, averaging 133 rushing yards per game. And so if they're able to do that, that means then they're going to come back with 223 plus passing yards at the same time, which is the average that they have right now. And that's just going to open more things up here for this team. And that's going to where Jared Goff is going to connect with Amon-Ra St. Brown, can hit deep ball James Williams, going to have Sam Laporta or
Yeah.
Isaac Sala as well there too. Like all these guys that they have to cover. And so now it is a division game, so they have a bunch of film on them. They feel very familiar on how a lot of these guys play and their tendencies. So this is where things could be different. But looking at this matchup here and the way Detroit plays at home, Ford Field is a tough place to play. I like the way Detroit's rolling here, while it seems like Minnesota is dealing with the injury bug. Plus, also I think just the transition of their like future star quarterback who is still looking to bounce back. I'd love to see JJ McCarthy bounce, like to come back. Also, then for us selfishly, so we could see like it's something for us to talk about and we can analyze him and provide our opinions for you all on like how we think he's doing and what areas of improvement are. But like because we all know Carson Wentz,
Yeah.
and so it's like we thought. Hopefully, I think Vikings fans were hoping that he would have a uh, Sam Darnold like time, during this stretch here while JJ McCarthy's out. But now, well, shoot, let's at least put the kid in there so he can learn and develop him. So coming into the rest of the season and next year as well too, you can start to see him like blossom into the quarterback we think he could be. So I'm going
Yeah.
to go with Detroit here in this one. I think Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery, they're going to have their typical, both have 10, 15 carries per game, and they're going to be able to probably have, I bet they're going to have more than 133 rushing yards. I bet they're probably going to have closer to 150. But Jared Goff has a good game as well here too. I bet Aiden Hutchinson gets 2 sacks, no matter who the quarterback is, because if Darrisaw's out and also too Brian O'Neill's out as well too, they're going to have backup tackles on both sides. I think they're going to get after the quarterback no matter who it is.
Yeah, that's the thing for me is I just don't know if this offensive line. This is one of the best front sevens in the league, both against the pass and against the run. And for me, I just really think that uh, the Lions are going to take it to the Vikings here. This is going to be a really tough matchup. You know, this would be JJ McCarthy's third start. So, I mean,
Yeah,
that's a tough defense to go up against, especially as with the secondary getting healthier and coming back from suspension. Shout out Brian Branch.
shout out
Uh,
Brian Branch.
and so for me, I just think that that's going to be something that that the Vikings are really going to struggle with. And then you look defensively, they haven't been that great this year. Well, they've been like a little bit above average, but this was a top 3 defense last year, and that was really kind of what made them so great. So, uh, yeah, I'm going with the Lions also.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead. Let's wrap it up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Will it be the Minnesota Vikings? Will it be the Detroit Lions? And then we'll see you guys next time.